I'm interested in your take, both of you, on this next question, and it's in regards to football's traditional struggle with obtaining decent level government funding. And the government, particularly Annika Wells, said this publicly over the last year or two, that one of the biggest problems that football has is that it often arrives via about 4 different sources when it comes to trying to get government money. Now, James, you've said that obviously FIFA is on board, ASEAN is on board. They're the international aspects of the game. What about at the local level? Obviously, you two are on board. You're the bodies that you both lead as CEOs. But what about beneath that? Is everybody singing from the same hymn sheet? Because that seems to have been one of the sport's biggest problems with regards to government funding in the past.
The answer is yes, Simon, to simply sum it up. Look, we're conscious of that feedback that Annika has given to the sport, and we've listened and we've learned, and we've also tried to respond to what those messages are. And you know as well as I do that there have been challenges over many, many years with the sport, but I think that is what is unique with this submission, because it does come with all the local sport across the country. We've had a lot of dialogue at the national level, but we've had dialogue with the APL, the Australian Professional Leagues, who are a partner of ours, around this project. We've talked to Brisbane Raw, who would directly benefit, of course, from this project. And we've also spoken with our other member federations across the country as well. So all the main stakeholder groups across the sport in Australia, and obviously Rob and his team have done a great work with stakeholders in Queensland. I'll let Rob talk to that. They all understand what the submission is. They understand the importance of it, and they're all standing strong behind it. So we actually think this submission responds to exactly the message that Annika is giving to us as a sport, which is a good thing.
Rob, the reason I asked that question, excuse me, is because, of course, the Brisbane Strikers, who actually play at Perry Park at the moment, have in the last few weeks released their own blueprint of what they feel Perry Park should look like, which I assume doesn't really bear much relation to what you're wanting and asking for. So how has that circle been squared?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, look, the kind of alignment that we've got across the game, I don't think is something that I've seen before, not in my time in football anyway. But when it comes to things like state significant infrastructure, such as a 20,000 seat stadium, ultimately the responsibility of how those are brought to life and the partnerships with government and the private sector sits under the auspices of the governing body, so Football Australia and Football Queensland, working together. Because ultimately, the way these things are delivered, the operational models, they're determined and progressed at the governing body level of the game. So, like anything, I'm sure there were thousands, and I know there was 5,500 submissions so far, and a lot of them, no doubt, were from individual stakeholders of football, giving their wonderful, varied opinions, which each person is entitled to give. But when it comes to what form that ultimately comes to fruition, those kind of state significant pieces of infrastructure really do sit with Football Queensland and Football Australia and others, but at that particular level. So when it comes to working with critical partners in government to procure a stadium that could be worth anywhere between $150 and $250 million, that's simply not going to occur at that particular level that you mentioned, because of the nature of the language and the conversations that need to take place. There's a level of sophistication that can only occur through bodies such as Football Queensland. So we absolutely welcome any contribution from any of our stakeholders in what they think might transpire there, but certainly a 5,000 seat or a 7,000 seat stadium is simply not going to service the game's long-term strategic interests in Queensland.